Well, here we are once again, folks, on the beautiful water system of the Gold Coast. At this particular spot, we're actually at Paradise Point, chasing whiting. Now today, we've got an 8'6" Wilson whiting rod. Very whippy in the tip, as you can see. Nice and soft, so those whiting don't feel too much the weight of the rod. There is a number size 6 long shank hook on a 1.5 meter trace between your 1 and 4 kilo. Little swivel and number 2 ball sinker. Now today, the bait we're using, it's a good old bloodworm. How you put these on is fairly simple. So at the very tip, and just feed him over the hook so she curls over and follows the shank. When you get to the eye like that, I like to leave a bit of a tag, a bit of a tail end. So cut him off there, straighten that worm up and pull him up over the eye of the hook so it sits nice and straight. There you have it, one nice whiting bait. Here we go, we're under our first fish for this evening here. Hopefully it's our selected species that we're after. Yep, nice whiting. Let it come back into the net. There we go, look at that. There we go, folks. That's what we came here for. Now, what I've heard is this is a pretty small whiting for these areas, so if it is small, I can't wait to get on to the big fellas. Now at this stage, we've set the benchmark at 34 centimeters. Let's see if we can better it. Well, got another fish here. Hopefully, that's what we're after, another whiting. Unfortunately he's undersized, so back in the water he goes. On to another fish. This one hasn't got a quite the same sort of sharp head shakes as the fish before, so hopefully it's our whiting. We'll see in a couple of seconds when the fish pops up. Here we go, folks. The second whiting. It's not as big as our first. It's 29 centimeters, but it's still legal and it'll still make a really nice fish to eat. On again here. Feels more like a whiting, this one. Now on these two rods, I'm only using 1 kilo mainline. So if I even attempt to try and lift these into the boat, I'll most probably snap my line. That's why I'm using a landing net. Might seem a bit silly using a landing net for whiting, but when you're fishing really light, you have to. And yep, here's a whiting. Not a big fish. But it's still a whiting. There you go, folks. Another legal fish. It'll be about the 27-29 centimeter mark. And you look at this. This is how light my line is. Boom, broke that easy. It's number 3. Let's get back into it. Another fish here. Pretty sure it's another whiting because it's sitting down deep again. Yep, another whiting. whiting. Can't wait to get home and taste these fish. A bit better fish, I think. Down deep, I've taken a few nice little runs. Should be able to see him in a sec. Yep, there he is. Another nice fish. There we go. Yep. There we go. Another nice Gold Coast whiting. These fish can be caught all through your warmer months, and I like fishing the incoming tide. So as the water's coming up onto your sandbanks, you move up with the water, because these fish will come up onto the banks and get all the yabbies and prawns that were exposed from the last low tide. Well, onto a nice fish here. It's already taken a bit of line off me. Hopefully it's a nice big whiting and not another species. There's not much head shake, so at this stage I'm going to call a whiting. But time will tell. Still got about 20 or 30 metres of line out on him. Just play him nice and slowly. Let that nice loose drag and nice wicked rod do its work. Getting tired now. Getting that ready. My head shakes there. Little pump and wind. Pump, wind down. Pump, wind down. And she should be here. Unfortunately, it's not the species we're after. It's actually a dirty old catfish. I'll still net him, so I can show you folks at home. Yeah, folks. A dirty old catfish. The only thing about these are good for is crab bait. But even still, I'm not going to keep this fella. I don't really want him stinking up me boat or stinking up my good catch. So, pop that hook out. He's a nice old tangle, this fella. There we go. Oh, shit. And put him back in the water. One thing with these catfish is now, I don't know whether you can see, all this slime is left on the line. What I suggest you do, cut it off at the swivel, take your hook off and dispose of that line, because I mean that does actually put fish off. Well, there you go folks, exactly what we were set out to do tonight. Get a nice feed of whiting. We are out there for about 2.5 hours. We've got 10 fish. That's all we need for a feed. We don't want to go out there and slay them. So now what we'll do, we'll go home and my wife will show you how to prepare and cook these fish. Cheers. Right folks, have our lovely whiting we caught last night, and I'm going to show you how to actually fillet these fish ready for cooking. Basically, come under these two fins here, just go straight down to the backbone. Turn your knife at a 45-degree angle and just follow the top of the backbone. You'll be able to feel your knife bumping along the top of that backbone there. You get it right the way down, out to the tail, flip them over, and do the same on this side. Remember, try not to cut towards your hand. There we go. That's simple. Hardly any meat left on that. It's basically transparent, and that now will become great sand crab or mud crab bait. We're doing exactly the same, taking the flesh off the skin as we did the flesh off the bone. Just go down right onto the skin, just over a 45-degree angle. Just hold your knife in that place and just pull your skin back and forth. Hey, look at that. There's not one bit of flesh left on that. That's what you have to do. Right, we're just left with this tiny little bit of bone. You've got your rib cage and your pin bones here. Now, as simple as going through, up, and through there like that. That is one. I know it's not much meat there, but it's one boneless fillet. You can go to the extent of peeling your bones off your flesh here, but I'm actually going to keep that for soup stock, so I'm not actually going to waste that.
Welcome to another episode of Cook Your Catch. Today we have a special guest of a former chef from the Treasury Casino, and he'll be helping you cook your whiting today. Here's Richard.
Alright, so what I'm going to cook today is basically stuffed whiting with Queensland scallops, and they're going to be wrapped in prosciutto. First of all, how we're going to start off is we basically dry off all the scallops that we get, so we're making sure there's no moisture left on top of them. So basically what we do is we grab some paper towel, and that's what I've basically done here. Put them on some paper towel, and I've already pre-dried them off. Now what we're going to do with the scallops before we actually wrap them in the whiting is just slightly pan-sear them on a really high heat so they get that nice colour on either side. But before we do that, I've got some seasoned flour here, which I've got cumin, paprika, ginger and coriander in as well, and also some sumac. Also a little bit of salt and pepper to add a little bit of taste. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them just gently, so they're not full coated, it's just a light coating. Just like that, so just a really light coating on either side. Alrighty, so what we're going to fry the scallops off in quickly so they get a little bit of colour, we'll put it on the highest heat setting that your stove will go at. Now the idea of this is to basically fry them off on 30 seconds on each side, just so they get a colour. You're not wanting to cook them all the way through because the oven's going to finish that process off once we wrap the whiting around it and also the prosciutto. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a herb and garlic butter for them to go off and do. We're not chopping up the garlic, we're not chopping up the herbs, we're basically wanting the flavours of the herbs to infuse with the butter, and it's just going to remain in the butter. So all we do, grab quite a few big lumps of butter, whack it in, start frying that off. We don't want the butter to turn brown or to turn into a blackish colour. We want it to stay that nice kind of clarified butter colour. So all I'm going to do, I've got some crushed kind of garlic cloves that I've kind of just smashed just to release a bit more of the garlic flavour from the cloves, and I've got some tarragon and some basil. All I'm going to do is whack it straight into the pan to fry off with the butter for a while. Alright, so the garlic and herb butter's basically done off, so we've got that all fried off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our scallops and we're going to fry them off for 30 seconds on either side. We don't want to go any further than that because we do not want to cook them all the way through. So I'll grab a nice big one to give you an example. And I'll whack in 3 at a time, just so we can watch them. You don't want to do any more than 3 or 4, because you really do want to be able to watch these. If you're turning them constantly, you're not going to be able to pay full attention. So see, as they're on the bottom already, starting to colour. They do not take long to cook through normally. Normally you cook scallops about 2 minutes on either side. So 30 seconds, I'll switch it over onto the other side. Alright, so we've basically started cooking off the scallops. We've only done it on 30 seconds each side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the scallops just in the whiting fillet alone. So we're going to grab a whiting fillet, roughly one comparable to the size of the scallop itself. Once you've got the whiting wrapped around the scallop, all we're going to do then is grab a toothpick. It wants to sit for me. And just score through either side, just so it sits in that perfectly. Now also with your toothpicks, it's ideal to wet them so they don't burn in the oven when you're finishing them off, but because we're putting it through this fish and it's still pretty moist, it should be pretty right. Now I've wrapped around with the whiting. All I'm going to do then is grab a slice of prosciutto. Now you can get this from pretty much any of your delis now in your supermarkets, pretty readily available. Back in the day it was a lot harder to come across, but if you can't get a hold of prosciutto, streaky bacon or bacon will work just as well. So all I want to do, so they're a little bit thicker on the side of the pieces, so we don't want them overhanging. So what we're going to do is we're going to just fold it over. And all I'm going to do is push that toothpick through on the other side and wrap them around. So push it through on that toothpick on the other side. Now it should wrap around fully. There we go. So as you can see, we finished the whiting off here. We've got it wrapped up in the prosciutto and it's stuffed with a nice Queensland scallop. We've just cooked off for 30 seconds on each side. We're going to finish it off with a herb salad tonight. It's going to be dressed in a lime and ginger dressing. So I'm going to finish cooking these off. I'm going to put them onto a tray. I'll pull them out of the oven as soon as they're done and I'll show you what they look like. Alrighty, so we finished off the whiting stuff with the scallop wrapped in prosciutto. And all I'm going to do to finish it off, I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of sumac and just sprinkle it over top. This sumac will give it a nice little citrus punch. Rather than being too overpowerful for like a lemon or a lime, this will just cut through just nicely. So all I do is just grab a little bit out of the sumac jar and literally just a little sprinkle on top. Now all I'm going to do to finish these off is I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper on top of them, whack them straight in the oven. I'm going to cook for 5 to 6 minutes and I'm going to check on them, make sure the prosciutto on the outside is turned nice and golden brown. That's going to hold in the moisture of the fish and the scallop at the same time, so you're not going to lose any of the tenderness in the fish and the scallop. Alrighty, so how we're going to finish off these scallops, we're going to do a nice, just reduced wine garlic sauce. So all I'm going to do is crush up a few garlic cloves, chop up some tarragon and parsley finely, throw it into the pan, cook it off for a little bit, and then a cup of white wine to reduce. Now I'm going to do is top it off with a little bit of cream. Very simple sauce. Alright, so chop garlic into the butter, fry off. Let that fry off for 2 to 3 minutes. Come back to it in a second. Alright, so we fried up the garlic, it's going into a nice caramelised kind of colour now. So just going to add the tarragon and the parsley on. Now that's not going to take too long because it's basically fresh. Basically what we're going to do is just release the flavours of the herbs back into the butter and into the garlic as well. Let's that kind of stir off for about 30 seconds or so. Alright, so now we've fried off the tarragon, parsley and garlic in the butter. We're just going to add a cup of white wine. Doesn't matter what white wine you really use. Preferably a nice dry white, as I find works better with my garlic sauces. So add the white wine in. Now we're just going to let that reduce till probably around about 4 or 5 minutes until we get to a nice consistency where it's just a little bit thicker. You don't want it overly thick, but you want that little the wine to reduce enough that it's a little bit thicker. Alright, so the wine's come down to a nice reduction now with the garlic and tarragon and parsley. So what I'm going to do, add a couple of dollops of cream just to add a little bit of richness to the sauce, add a little bit of salt and pepper to it, and that's how we're going to finish it off. That's all I added in the cream. Now what I'm going to do is put that on a low simmer for the next few minutes. Just let that simmer down a little bit. This is our finished product. So I'm just going to plate them up. Just going to do a simple lot of salad. Nothing over fancy. A little bit of salad. Gonna grab 2 of the whiting wraps. Set them like that. Gonna grab a spoon. Give this sauce another quick stir. All I'm gonna do, slightly drizzle that just on top. And just a little bit of sauce to go around the side. So there you have it, folks. That's our stuffed whiting with scallops, wrapped in prosciutto, served with a garden herb salad. My name's Richard, and thank you very much for watching Cook Your Catch.